When the founder of a retail giant, Mango, died in December 2024, the incident first came to light as a tragic accident. It has been a year and a half since Isak Andic died, but the case is still under investigation. That itself is telling of the fact that one of his 3 sons is back under the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. But why and how did this case reach that point is a long story. On December 14, 2024, Isak Andic went hiking at Montserrat, which is a scenic area near Barcelona. At some point during the hike, the 71-year-old fell off a ravine. The fall was almost 100 meters deep, with no chance of survival. At the time of the hike and Isak Andic's death, there was one person who was with him, his son, Jonathan Andic. When police initially investigated the incident, it was looked at from the perspective of an accident, as the textile magnate's son also recounted the event to the authorities. Within a few months, the case was closed. Catalan police qualified it as a case of mountain accident, a tragedy. But there was a twist in the whole story when in October 2025, the case was suddenly reopened. This development followed after Catalan police found inconsistencies in the statements of Jonathan. Suspicion further fueled by other evidence, which also suggested to the investigators that it is possible there is more to this entire story. In fact, Andic's then partner, golfer Estefania Nuth, had told the investigators back then that the relationship between father and son was bad. At the time, local media reports also wrote of a tense relationship between the duo. The reports also said that authorities had seized Jonathan Andic's phone shortly after the retail businessman died. So they started looking at the case as a possible homicide, and Jonathan went on from being a witness to a suspect. The Andic family, however, has supported the late businessman's son. Back in October last year, a spokesperson for the family made the following statement, and I'm quoting it here. The Andic family has not made, nor will they make, any comments regarding Isak Andic's death in all these months. However, they wish to express their respect for the investigations that have been carried out and will continue to cooperate as they have done until now with the relevant authorities. They are also confident that this process will conclude as soon as possible and that Jonathan Andic's innocence will be proven. Now, almost 7 months later, the case moves forward. On May 19th this week, authorities in Spain detained Jonathan Andic. Shortly after, footage emerged of officials escorting Jonathan in and out of a court in Spain. The founder's son was in handcuffs as he was whisked away for questioning. In the past, the younger Andic has maintained his innocence in his father's death and has maintained that the fall that led to his demise was accidental. There is little known about the details of this case and how far the investigation has really reached into the homicide angle, or even what Jonathan Andic has said in court this week. But ever since the tragedy in December 2024, local media has dug into Isak Andic and the relationship he had with his son Jonathan. But before we get into that and the reports that have said in recent past, let's look at who Andic's successors are. After Isak Andic's death, the ownership of his entire business was divided between the 3 sons. Jonathan Andic, the oldest son, Judith Andic, the middle child, and Sarah Andic, the businessman's youngest. This is where the many reports and murmurs of family dynamics come in. When the 71-year-old's partner spoke to the police and her testimony spoke of strained ties, Spanish media put out reports of the father-son duo clashing over Jonathan's role in the company. There were also reports of a clash between the businessman's partner and his children over the will and the asset division. But nothing more emerged in this story, and many questions remain unanswered about motives here, if at all there were any. It has been 7 months since this case reopened, but as time passes, the mystery only deepens into the death of Isak Andic. If indeed it was a murder, what could the motive be? And if not, what is the kind of evidence that led police to believe in the first place that this case was anything more than an accident?